So this is 71, and it should be easy today, again, because I was going to have you make test corrections. If you're not here today, then you will have to probably come after school or before school. So let's go ahead and look at what you're going to do today. It's very easy. They're going to ask you, they're going to give you an equation, and they're going to say either put it in the slope-intercept. So this is the slope-intercept form. If you already know what that is, you don't need to write it. In fact, it's right here, and I just covered it up. Whoops. Who knows what form this one's in? This is the point slope. This is the point slope. By the way, do you know, if I'm graphing this, what my first point would be if I wanted to graph it? Help us out, somebody. What kind of 3 would it be? It would be a -3, because remember the format is that -x. So because that was changed, it had to have been a -3, and this one was a what? A +6. So that would be my first point that I would graph, and then up to going backwards 3, up to going backwards 3, or vice versa, down to going forwards 3, and so on. Anyway, that is the slope-intercept form right here. This is the point slope form with numbers in it that you can see. And this is, I kind of briefly mentioned it yesterday, this is the standard form of your x with its coefficient, the y with its coefficient, and the constant. So, and it will look something like this. And so they're saying, when would be a good time to use this one? When you know the slope and y-intercept, then it's easy to graph that. It's easy to graph your first intercept point and then use your slope. Use this when you know a point and the slope, or when you're given only 2 points. I still end up putting everything in that form, but it's okay. Let them talk. And then this one is, when you see it in this form, how many of you use the x and y intercepts? Did one time a 0 here and one time a 0 here? And then it made it really quick to graph it. So those are the 3 that you're going to use. You can go through, they're going to have you rewrite this, for example, in standard form. Now in standard form, the A, B, and C have to be real numbers, and not, the first one cannot be a negative. So CJ, make sure you're focused. So what they're doing is, if I'm solving this one and I want to get it into the standard form, it's y is equal to -1/2 x plus 5. I don't know if I would do it their way. They're doing this first, which I guess is okay, is I would probably just bring this over first, because the standard form is I have to have both of these on the same side. So I would probably start by putting this over on the other side, then that -1/2 becomes a what? It becomes a +1/2. Plus my y, and it's equal to 5. Again, they're doing something sort of a little bit different. Then, this cannot be a fraction. So what can I multiply this to get it to be non-fraction? What can I multiply this for this to be a 1? A 2. And if I multiply it through by 2, because there's 2 terms there, I have to multiply everything through by 2. So 2 times 1/2 is my 1x. 2 times y is 2y. And then 2 times 5 is 10. And hopefully that's the same thing that they got. And I'm going to let you, I'll leave this here, of course, because I'm not going to come over and cut it out of your paper, but you can see how they did it here, and you can decide if this is better for you, or just moving it over right away and then multiply it by that reciprocal. So We're going to do a few of these because, oh, I need to give you paper. Okay, let me give you some lined paper. Because you don't have enough on there. If I did any on the back, you wouldn't have any problems left. So here's this. That's one behind you.
Miss Ward, this has organic organs.
And I don't want to use that one. And you might need more paper, and I'll leave some over on the desk in just a second. So on the first one, it says these are the things that you're going to have to do on the inside. So it says find the y. This is like we mentioned yesterday. Find the x and the y intercepts of each line, then graph the line. I didn't give you graph paper, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But you do need to know how to find the intercepts. So on the number 1, again, I would one time make your x a 0, and then the next time make your y a 0. So I'm going to just bring that over here just because. Okay. So I'm going to take a little shortcut. I usually don't, but I'm going to save you some time today. So if I make this x a 0, what happens with that 6 times 0? It cancels out. So all I would have left is negative 9y is equal to negative 3. And then how do I get rid of this negative 9? Divide. Divide through by negative 9. Divide through by negative 9. So negative 9 divided by negative 9 is y is equal to negative divided by negative is a positive, and that reduces down to what fraction? 1/3. 1/3. Okay. And then we do the same thing. We make the y a 0. So I'm just going to scoot it over a second. If I put a 0 where that y is, negative 9 times 0 would be what? 0. So I'm just going to cover that up, and I would be left with 6x is equal to negative 3. And then what do I do with this? How do I get rid of the 6? Divide 3 by 6, divide 3 by 6. So that's going to be a negative, is it negative 1/2? Okay. And you don't have to graph it. If I did, I'm going to do something very simple. Like this is going to be, I'll make this real big since those are less than 1. So if this is 1, it's 0, 1/3. And then this one is going backwards 1/2, and then 0. So the graph is going to look something like that. But you don't have to graph them, but recognize how to do it if you have a state exam. So do we need, oh, I should have done that one with fractions. But you guys can do the fractions, can't you? I want to see if you have any fractions in here. No, I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm just going to kind of do maybe 1 or 2 of each. On this one, tell if the graph is horizontal or vertical. So on this one, if I divide through by 4, divide through by 4, my x is equal to what? My x is equal to 2. And by the way, does anybody know before we say anything if it's going to be horizontal or vertical? Yeah, because it's going to cut through the x. But if you're not sure, if you're not sure on a text, that means x is always equal to 2, no matter what I make my y, because the y would drop out. So 2, 0, negative 2. X is always 2. And then you could go ahead and graph it if you want, which is 2, 2, 2, 0, 2, negative 2. Again, if it's x is equal to something, it will cut through the x-axis. So it is going to be vertical. Okay. And then on this one, I'm not even going to, well, we can solve it. Let's see what the graph is. Divide through by what? Negative 5. Divide through by negative 5. And y is equal to negative 3/5. And that means it's going to be cutting through the y-axis. Is that going to be vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. It's going to be, if this were a graph, And here is 1. That negative 3/5 would be, okay, it would be down here somewhere, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be right about here, and everything is going to be negative 3/5. Again, you don't have to graph it, but just know that this would be horizontal. Right. And then, I'm not going to do the rest. Let me see. Then this one. Write the equation in the slope-intercept form. So, who knows what I would have to move first? There's actually 2 things you could do. So just recognize slope-intercept is y is equal to mx plus b, and start moving it to get to be that. So should I multiply this 1/3 through? I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to, well, yes I will. I'm going to put y minus 3 is equal to 1/3 times x is 1/3 x. And guys, let's get focused. So it's 1/3 x, and 1/3 times negative 5 is what? Is it negative 5 over 3? Yeah, so it's negative 5 over 3, and we can leave it in this form unless we're graphing it. If I'm graphing it, I would need to know that that's 1 2/3 if we were done, but we're not done. And then at the same time, now I'm going to take this and move it over here. Oh, actually, I might just, well, that's going to be a plus 3. So we're almost there. Y is equal to 1/3. That is my slope. I've got to get this together. How would you get that together? Yeah, I would change this to a mixed fraction. So that's going to be a negative 1 2/3 and a positive 3. So is that going to be a positive 1 1/3? Is that it? It is. Positive 1 1/3. And that's it. So you're going to get, you're just transforming these equations today. Let's go ahead and do the number 8. We want to get that in standard form. You will have these, I know, on a one of your algebra tests that you have to take. So the standard form is the x and the y are both on the same side. Who knows what I should move first? Luke, do you have an idea what I'm going to move first? Standard form is where I have the, I think you are right. You're going to move the negative 2 over 5 to the other side. I don't even understand what they did on the example, but I just like to move this to the other side. So I'm going to move it, and it's going to become a positive 2/5 x plus y is equal to what? Guys, get focused. I don't know what you're looking at, but I know you're not looking at this. Okay. And then we're almost there. You cannot have a fraction on standard form. So who knows what I need to multiply this by? Do you know? I think you could. I was going to do 5 over 2, but I think 5 is good enough. And then I'm going to double check the key. So 5 and 5. Because it says that A and B are real numbers. Yes, so we can do that. So this becomes, what happens to this? It becomes 2x plus 5 times y is 5y is equal to 5. And there you go. That is the standard form. I hope, did I end up with a fraction on the other side? If I did, I made a mistake. All right. Then, so let's go ahead and, so this one is Alrighty. And then tell if, I don't know if I'm going to go completely through this one, but we'll do the number 10. It says, tell if a given point is on the given line. So here's the line. How do you know if a point is on a given line? Yeah, you put your X where the X is, put your Y where the Y is, and if in the end the two sides equal, then they fall on the equation of this line. So we'll do one of those. All right. So on this one, our Y is negative 2/3. So I'm substituting, so the Y is gone, is equal to negative 4/3 times my X. The X is 3/4 plus the 1/3. All right. So there's nothing to do on this side. On this side, what happens with 3 divided by 3 and 4 divided by 4? They cancel to become a 1. So it's negative 1 plus 1/3. And does the right side equal negative 2/3? Yes, it does equal negative 2/3. So yes, that point fell on the line. And if they do not equal, the point did not fall on the line of that equation. And I'm going through this fast because I want you to have all the time that you need. I think last one, we'll do the number 12, is find the value of X or Y so that the given point lies on the given line. So we're just going to take the equation that they gave us and fill in where the X is the 1/6. When we solve it, we should get the corresponding X value. So it's going to be X plus 2 times Y is equal to 1. And what was our X? No, we don't know our X. Our Y was 1/6. So X is equal to, what's 2/6 if I reduce that? 1/3. This should be a plus. Okay. And so now we're solving for the missing X. So we have to move this to the other side, which becomes a, instead of a positive, it is a what? Negative. And so therefore X is equal to 1 whole pi minus 1/3 of the pi is what? 2/3. And there you go. So our ordered pair is 2/3 and 1/6. And that's about it, people. Do you kind of understand those? Okay. You guys can work together. It looks like a lot, but some of them is just, is it vertical? Change it to a slope form. I think there's room here to do it right here if you can. I don't think you need to do that many in the standard form. But it might be a little tricky. So these are just find the X and Y intercepts. You don't have to graph it. Tell whether it's horizontal or vertical. Put it into the correct equation form that they're telling you. I don't think we need to do you think we need to do this many of these? I don't think so. I think do a decimal one and do a fraction one. Do a decimal one and a fraction one, and find the value of the X and the Y. Like that was the last one that we just did. And we'll do 1X. Which one shall we do? We'll do these four right here. That's too many. How many do you need to know to get this in your head? At least 2. We'll do one where you're finding the y, one where you're finding the x, one is in decimal, one is in fraction. I think that's good enough. Do you think? I think that's good enough. And the mixed up answers are on the back. This is for the first side, or the first page, and these are for the second page. So now that I took some off, you won't have all of these. Okay, can you handle that, people? And again, ordered pairs have an X and a Y. These are your intercept points. Okay, I'm done.